Hey everybody, Zaysen again from the Quest ECSS. That's the Quest ECSS.org. Um, Here we have another rescue. This happened back in February 2019, and let's see here. Get right into it. It's kind of a long one, so bear with me. My reading skills, I know, are really bad, but anyway. Um, let's see. Our attention was drawn to the borders between a country we work in and one we mostly don't. We had a lot of information that gangs were collecting girls from ages 11 to 14 and taking them to their country and selling them both in the side streets, brothels, and also for sale to older men for wives. Uh, the way this works is the young guys, about 18 years old, enter into this country and make friends with the girls and flirt with them and become friends. These girls are from very rural areas and very poor. So when we see an older boy paying attention to them with a car, uh, they easily fall prey to them. So the time comes when the boys will take them across the border into their country and sell them. They can do this over and over again. No one pays any attention to them. In the last month, 23 girls have come up missing, and that is a lot in comparison to the norms in this area. It is a border that is not very well checked, almost never needs paperwork. Usually there's not even guards there. So um, we have not had to do much work in this country. We have some homes for our kids in the area, and it was just a matter of time when we would be placing more focus here. We were hoping that trafficking would not become a major presence here, but it is easy for the traffickers. So now it is becoming our area of battle. Having the growing numbers of abductions here constitutes a greater danger for the rescued girls in that area. So because of our support from you, our donors, it is now possible for us to become a large presence here now. With that, this operation begins. Our volunteers had a lot of information for us, and it would be necessary for us to cross into this country, and to do it without paperwork. We would use soldiers that had the required look and language to make this possible. One of the volunteers told us that the last night 6 girls were taken in a black Hummer, and that they had the location in a nearby city with a location. This would be good as it gets. It is not like our normal rescues because these are rogue individuals working with local gangs, so there are no clear signs to uh, that takes us in a logical direction. The 23 that had went missing this month would be long gone by now with information, but the 6 were just taken last night, and with the location of the Hummer, we had a chance of finding them. We had a team of 6 that followed up on this abduction, and the location was found. It wasn't really hard to find a Hummer in one of these locations. Sometimes we get a lot of help, but in this one, it really didn't take a genius. Um, there seemed to be many motorcycles, and there was loud music coming from the inside. The building was a blockhouse and located at a safe distance from any neighbors' houses. Um, all of our soldiers on this one were men, and so we could blend in. A female would only draw attention, and that would be a plain clothes rescue. Our youngest looking team members would go to the house and just see what was going on. It seemed like the trend, which was 18 years old, living it up, selling these kids, was making them a lot of money. And then, like I said, this is a very rural area, and so uh, they get attention. Anyway, uh, with with his instructions, our guy moved out. He would not have any communication with the other team members except a phone. He approached the door, and there were some other young guys outside smoking and drinking and paid not attention to our teammate. That was a good sign for us. He entered and found a party going on with about 20 men, most young, and 5 girls were present and did not appear happy or there by choice. The teammate singled out the loudest boy and who was very well dressed. He appeared to be the host. Teammate approached him and introduced himself as a visitor, and he said he noticed the party. The young guy smiled and I could see on the Viber they were showing his eyes. They just seemed really black. The guy welcomed him and told him where uh, where the beer was and to help himself to the girls. It appeared that this was training day for the girls. Our teammate sat down next to one of the girls, and she seemed to move away a bit, but teammate whispered in her ear not to worry. He asked her where the other girl was, and she looked over toward one of the doors to one of the bedrooms. He asked if she was alone, and she shook her head no. Teammate scanned the house on the phone, stood up, and put his hand on the host and thanked him and said that he had to go take a piss, and so he stepped outside away from the others. He walked around the house and checked on the environment and then advised us that he saw and asked if we had seen it, on a Viber. The commander responded to him and said yes and asked him to advise on raid. He he said looks good and advised locations of the entry and approach. 6 girls from the abduction was there, and one still in a room with a client. The only gun was in the Hummer and nothing visible in the house except everyone carries a knife here. That would be the focus. Also, any intention to discover a gun in the house. The team would approach with one inside, controlling anything from the inside as we entered. He would be treated as one of the bad guys until it was over and the girls were gone. 2 of the volunteers would be in our truck to transport. They would stay behind till the team had entered the house. Then they would approach and wait till the girls came out. 1 team member would be with them. The other 4 team members would assess and the few men inside and see if they would be any trouble. But if they were really drunk, so then enter and command everyone to stop where they were and then unplug the music. 1 team member would enter the room where the other girl was, if she was still in there, and bring her and him to the main room. The commander told me all this and asked for permission to move, and so I gave the go. All went well, and the girl that was in with the client had finished and was in the main room. We did a sweep of the house, found no more people, only some drugs and money. We did not care about that. That only the gun that we found was in the bedroom. Only 1 gun was found in the bedroom. The girls, we moved to the truck that we had been waiting, and were on their way back across the border. We signaled out the 2 guys who were making all of this happen and separated them from the others. They were just kids on a really bad path, and again, the culture is women are a product, not a person, or they weren't a person. We educated them as best that we could, only with a little hurt. Then we warned them that they never come back to our side of the border. The final message was to cover his prized Hummer with gas and then made him light it. He was crying as he did it. The team met outside to watch the fire, then returned to the rest of the team across the border. The 6 girls were taken to one of our places, and the parents were gathered by volunteers and brought together to see the girls. Here, the social workers helped them communicate about what had happened to them and would offer counsel at any time, and all agreed to stay here for a few days and go from there. The parents were very grateful, and one of the fathers offered to help us anytime with anything to stop these abductions, willing to give his life for this. So the previous total was 1443, and now we got 1449. And that's the update for February. In addition to the rescues, the other 2 orphanages that needed our help getting up to code, and more was accomplished. The government is happy now, and in addition, we gave names to some of uh, the Buddhists that would oversee the operations, even though it is not Buddhist orphanages. In other words, we would have some of the people that we know that are Buddhists there oversee the Christian or Catholic type orphanage, so that government officials would leave them alone. That's what it would take. So that's what we placed. That made the government happy. Many changes were made for the better. The beds all now have mosquito nets and drains. Drains were installed to keep the rainwaters from entering the buildings. Walls were built on the school so weather would not be an issue. We also built additional housing for our off-duty guards and to stay in now. Tents were just not that great. And when they're having to spend, when we have somebody there 24/7. So anyway, it was absolutely very little cost, and most of it came out of their pockets, and they built a nice little shelter. So we were able to find additional food sources that would be an ongoing source for food. One of the main problems that they have is the expense of food and things, and what it just took was a little bit of negotiation with some of the people that were in the area that could help supply without hurting their own business. So anyway, that was taken care of. All this came from our funding from the fundraiser. So we have brought in our talents to do more than rescues now. We really needed this, and it was really good to give back to these places. All these years, we only brought them little kids to fix, heal, and teach, but still are not able to pay their, $20 a month cost. So it is really great to be able to help them in ways that they couldn't have been able to. Thanks to our donors again, and check us out, follow us up. We're gonna have some more stories coming up. So thank you much.